The 101st Airborne Division would make its name during World War II, especially on the morning of June 6, 1944. But this division wasn't just made up of thousands of frontline paratroopers. There were many more moving parts. In this video, we take a look at the structure of the 101st Airborne on D-Day. In recent times, the miniseries Band of Brothers has shed some light on the exploits of the 101st during World War II. But the division was more than just one company of men. In fact, just prior to the D-Day invasion, the division numbered some 6,600 men, and not all of them had the same job. Starting at the top, there was the division headquarters. Under that, a platoon of military police, a squad-sized counterintelligence detachment, and the 101st Recon Platoon. Further to that, there was a section of chaplains, a section of civil affairs soldiers, and finally the 101st Band. The rest of the troops can be broken down into four areas. Those are the paratroopers, glider troops, artillerymen, and support staff. Looking at the paratroopers first, these were broken down into three regiments, that being the 501st, 502nd, and 506th. A company worth of Pathfinders also rounded out this area. These were the main force of troops on the ground on D-Day, and had objectives to secure key areas to allow the troops on the beach to get ashore and link up inland. For context of the numbers, we will use the 501st as an example. This was broken down into 1st, 2nd and 3rd battalions. Each battalion consisted of three companies: Able, Baker and Charlie companies in 1st, Dog, Easy and Fox in 2nd, and George, Howe and Item in 3rd Battalion. As well as those 9 companies, each battalion also had a headquarters company. Breaking it down further, each company had 3 platoons. Each of these platoons consisted of 4 squads, that being 3 rifle squads and a mortar squad. The rifle squads would contain 12 men, and the mortar squad 6. So this should give you some idea of the structure of a parachute infantry regiment. One of the other areas of the 101st was the glider troops. This consisted of the 327th Glider Infantry Regiment and the 1st Battalion of the 401st Glider Infantry Regiment. Glider troops were just as important, as they were able to bring in heavy equipment and machinery for the rest of the division. Because they accessed the battlefield with a glider, they needed to target specific areas to allow for the aircraft to land. Many of these were heavily damaged on D-Day due to various factors, but these weren't the only glider troops. In the area of artillery was the 321st Glider Field Artillery Battalion, the 907th Glider Field Artillery Battalion, then the 377th Parachute Field Artillery Battalion, and finally the 81st Airborne Anti-Aircraft and Anti-Tank Battalion. The role of these soldiers was to provide the frontline troops with much needed artillery support. However, on D-Day this didn't quite go to plan. As an example, with the 377th, they lost 11 out of 12 75mm howitzers. So therefore they had to fight with elements of the 502nd until around D-Day +8, when they were finally given replacement guns. The final area of the division was the support staff. This consisted of the 101st Signals Company, the 101st Parachute Maintenance Company, the 326th Airborne Engineer Battalion, the 326th Medical Company, the 426th Quartermaster Company, and finally the 801st Ordnance Company. Each of these sections held very important roles which helped keep the division armed, fed, fueled, and moving throughout D-Day and the rest of the war. The 101st Airborne Division was a successful example of how an airborne division could function during wartime. Their first test would be D-Day, but ultimately they would continue to prove themselves throughout the war. What are your thoughts of the structure of the 101st Airborne Division on D-Day? Did you realise there were so many areas of the division? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to expand your knowledge and join the growing Premier History community.